So there's no reason why he can't turn around and give a bit of an upset, because he's definitely got the potential to take it to the next level.
I would imagine just like coming off of that first match too, like, hey, I'm in this thing, right? Yeah. There's got to be a little bit of energy that one conjures from that as well.
What's there to lose now? He's in the QPL. Like, this is as far as he's ever been. Like, just throw the kitchen sink at dahang and see what happens.
Right. Of course, that doesn't just win Quake games, ladies and gentlemen. I wish it was that easy to just be like, I believe enough that I'm going to win this matchup. Skill versus skill, obviously, in this one. And what about champions that we see here?
So, nothing too off the wall. Lots of mirror matchups actually across the board, which bodes particularly well. Blood Covenant's going to be fun if we get there with the Slash versus Cena. It's a lot of pace coming out, but it is mirror matchups, so that always means a bit more of a stable and traditional duel than we'll see if there's big differences in stack or abilities as well.
Yeah. Anyone else before we kick it off to our casters?
Well, all I can say is with maxter, Awoken's there, I said it before, is one of his better maps, so at least it's okay, but we know how good dahang is on Blood Covenant. A little bit worried, but as long as he wins the first two maps, he could be okay, but we'll see how things pan out.
All right, well, you see that map, and you know what that means. It is time to hop into the game. Let's kick it off to Ketchup and Flea.
So I really think there is no denying that this is going to be a test for maxter. Flea. We'll see how he's got this far, and now going up against someone of the caliber of dahang, this is just a nice opportunity to weigh up just how he's looking. Now, always a pleasure to watch dahang play the Strog. Absolutely a while ago, the champion that he kind of invented in the competitive space. Very different now though, you know, the crouch slide inclusion and a lot of players catching up with the use of Pika, but it's always a treat to see dahang use this champion.
maxter immediately going for that mid-air rocket already. Very aggressive plays from the get-go. Actually manages to get a bit of a stack advantage over his opponent, dahang. And as you said yourself, this is indeed a bit of a test from the player from Argentina. Managed to qualify earlier by beating G-Nick. So he is already going to be very happy with his performance, making it in to the Quake World Championships. And I saw a lot of things that I liked from his first match earlier today. So let's see if he can continue on playing the same way up against the powerhouse that is Liquid dahang. So far a bit of damage has been exchanged. Stacks are relatively equal. Neither player really in control or with the upper hand.
Here comes that Pika almost immediately though. There's a lot of damage being dished out and not a lot of armor left for maxter. So he's going to have to really try and fight his way away. dahang trying to use that heavy machine gun, catches a beautiful turnaround for that juggling lightning gun to secure the first frag. And a little bit of a reward, the armor going into his favor.
dahang now keeping control of the center area of the map. Corrupted Keep is one of those maps where you can really deny not just items but also weaponry to your opponent. DLG, for example, very risky to pick up. Doesn't look like dahang wants to just sit on that though, wants to try and deny the heavy instead, but maxter, surprisingly speedy, blazing on through underneath his opponent, should be able to secure the heavy. Decent amount of damage there as well, but dahang quick on the retaliation. Can't underestimate the heavy machine gun, especially on the one map in the pool without a rail.
A decent amount of damage coming out for dahang here. A long time until heavy respawns, so he's trying to get that extra burst of speed just so he can go through light room. But this should be a pickup for maxter, and not a lot of damage in return, so maxter should be able to get something from this. And as the heavy spawns, it's likely maxter can collect uncontested, and he can. With the totem ready to drop, this next fight could be pretty good as well, but good use of the Pika. The super shotgun, it's taking a long time for the SSG to get rid of this, and he's looking for more. He needs to just look in his general direction and he could have finished him off, but I like the respect. maxter knows all it takes is one bad rocket and dahang is going to turn this round. Looking for even more dahang. The rocket knocks him into his line of sight and he finishes the job. But now maxter's pretty weak, even with these lights. Thankfully though, the passive is going to work towards getting the totems. Always going to help out with Galena. But there continues to be this chunky delay between the two items. The maxter at this point, he needs to get himself some armor. Lightning gun ammo, he's going to collect some of that as well, which is nice. But as the fight for Mega's about to take place, yeah, it looks like dahang is going to make his presence known. maxter, a little bit late on that one, could have taken the rocket there, Flea.
I'm liking maxter's aggression. he is applying a lot of pressure, really not giving dahang the kind of respect that he might have expected going into this from someone who only just made it into the league through the challengers. But maxter seems to be treating this like any other matchup, completely unfazed by the player he's going up against, which I definitely think is the right way of approaching this matchup. But the Rockets, they're messy, they're sloppy. dahang dodges them all and finishes him off quickly too. Things all tied up once more. Heavy about to spawn 5 seconds from now. Maxter so low he cannot contest for this. He should get out as soon as he can. It does manage to survive for now.
And there's really nothing he can do to survive this one. The moment he went around that corner and took those nails, it was a done deal. dahang, incredibly healthy. And he's going to keep this light in mind too. The Mega has been stolen away by maxter. His best case scenario here is going to be to do so much damage that it's not really going to count. dahang's happy to keep maxter weak, by the way. It means that while maxter is over there licking his wounds, either waiting for some light armors or having to detour for them, it means he can't challenge for the heavy. So that's a big win for dahang. Oh, and he still couldn't even take this light, so maxter's still without armor. dahang will know that.
Yeah, dahang, one of the absolute best timers in the business, can keep track of every single one of the items on the map to an absolute T. And that is something that maxter has to deal with, has to work around those years and years of experience that his opponent has. Good use of the peeker will find maxter on the drop down. And now dahang looking to start the snowball that this map is so well known for. He knows that maxter has got nothing other than that LG to work with, and he's going to make the best out of the situation. 5-2 already. And dahang, in many ways, is very similar to his teammate Rafa, in the sense that the second half of the map is where he often truly shines. That is when that diesel engine finally kicks into gear and he can start stringing together the frags with insurmountable control of the items.
Because it's not just the major items that he has as a part of his circuit, it is the lights as well. You'll notice that as he's cycling around this map and soaking up everything in sight, he's taking the light armors as well. So maxter is consistently, completely starved of resources. And he has no real footing to mount a comeback. Activating the peeker right as he jumps towards Mega, so he knows there's going to be no damage. He is going to have to face tank the totem, but that's a worthy trade for another frag.
dahang now picking up a whole lot of momentum.
Light and heavy, I tell ya.
When you're maxter, and just look at that monster stag as well. Rocket out of seemingly nowhere. Maxter next to no armor to his name. Can he find a way to dodge the damage long enough to start mounting something? He will steal away the Mega. Those are some really ballsy plays just to go for the item. Hasn't always worked out for him in this matchup. Peeker does a fair bit of damage. dahang does decide to give up positioning and actually loses out on the heavy. dahang, I think he was looping around, maybe trying to catch maxter at the small armor. I think he might have even considered doing a bit of self-damage to deny it. LG on LG, maxter.
Good swap.
Yeah, very clever play from Liquid dahang right there. Maxter falling just barely short in that engagement. Aggressive push though with the super shoddy of the spawn. Won't work out.
I loved that fight with the LG where dahang essentially went, okay, so unless you have the sixth sense that I'm going to move out of LG range and have your machine gun ready, I'm going to win this fight.
Yeah.
Ooh, a couple of nails, definitely not a bad day in the office for the accountant as he gets even more of this heavy machine gun. And he's weak, but there's always armor. dahang, always a plan B. And he does actually get beat to Mega. He goes down, but I mean, the Mega's just been taken. Maxter, tender, and dahang should be able to restack or refrag if he gets a good weapon. But I like the respect, actually. The peeker for the information, that's going to be a safe, heavy pickup. Oh, it blocks off the rocket.
The direct midair on the peeker. You love to see it. dahang, first one to recover from that engagement off the spawn. Maxter still struggling with a stag disadvantage. Won't be able to make a move on Mega either. Has to concede that item to his opponent. Some armor would be wonderful right now. Certainly, that's what he's thinking to himself. And he's got a good position for heavy as well. He knows more or less where dahang is at, other side of the map. The opponent has to come to him. catch the side, knows that Heavy is completely free for him as well. But items, those are not the things he needs. What he needs are frags with 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go. Maxter is desperately behind on those.
And he's reaching a scary position where, I mean, he has no choice but to push. Because he doesn't have the time to do so anymore.
Yep.
Managed to somewhat avoid that airborne Hika, but at this stage, I mean, it is going to be a done deal. There was pretty much nothing he could do anyway, but with that one frag, it wasn't set in stone before. It sure as hell is now. But dahang, I mean, let's really talk about this map for a second. How consistently he was in full control of pretty much every item that you would want on this map to stay alive. Not just the heavy, not just the mega, but the light near the nail gun room, and if he needed it, the one near rocket launcher. He always had more stack than Maxter. He always had more armor than Maxter. There was very few opportunities on this map where Maxter really had a chance, I think, thanks to the dahang circuit.
Oh yeah. People often talk about players like Cooler, known as the Constrictor, for just choking you out of any resources on the map, but you can never underestimate dahang. One of the absolute best players at keeping track of item timing, so even when he's not applying that kind of pressure by stealing all the items constantly, he's keeping track of them in his head, and when he does get into control, he knows exactly when those small armors are going to spawn, and he will lay it on thick, stopping Maxter from finding any way back into the map.
And that's just going to be a last-minute bonus frag. The first map goes dominantly to dahang. I can't really say it's a major surprise. It's like we said, this is going to be somewhat of a test, I think, for Maxter to really see what he's shaping up like as his initial task has been completed. And now as we go into another map, we'll kind of see what kind of fight still exists in a matchup where dahang was absolutely the favorite to win this. So our next map is going to be Awoken, so it's going to be one small map straight into another. But I mean, Flea, what do you think about the next map and Maxter's chances here?
I mean, looking at map 1, of course it is Corrupted Keep, so you can never really just infer too much of the performance of both of these players, but dahang is looking solid as steel, whereas Maxter struggling going up against probably one of the best opponents in his career just yet. dahang, absolutely one of the best players in NA. I think no one is going to dodge or challenge the idea that he is top 2 right behind his teammate Rafa. So I really don't think that Maxter has much of a shot. Now, he started off strong, which is something that very often happens, but then in the second half of the game, things started falling apart. One of the most crucial things that he has to focus on going into Awoken is to not allow dahang as much control of the items. And I think he has a pretty good idea of how to do it as well, by just not giving his opponent that much respect. Maxter, he knows how to fight. He can dish out the damage just the same as his opponent can. And he should not be too afraid just by the intimidation factor that you have when you play one person with the strength, the skill, and the experience of dahang. So Maxter is to keep playing his own game, and I think he might have a shot, but he needs to really make something happen.
So matchup-wise, looks like it could be Visor versus Ranger, and I mean, I can't really say that's something that takes me by surprise from a dahang sense, because anything that allows you to control those items just a little bit better goes a long way. And the orb alone means that if you are going to try and stop dahang from taking those important items, you need to have a good plan of attack, because the orb makes things so much harder.
Absolutely, that's just a lot of mobility on the one hand, and there's a lot of places where you can use that to great effect on Awoken, right? You can use it to get through the teleporter, completely take your opponent by surprise, the little hole in the wall down towards the heavy. So much mobility and utility that you can get just by traversing the map faster than your opponent and denying items, which is something that we know dahang loves to do. And then comes that added value in terms of the damage. So much explosive burst damage that you can use the orb for in these close quarter engagements. Get up close, use the rockets, because you're Ranger to begin with, you take less self damage, and then just add on an orb, and there's very little that your opponent can do against that. So Maxter, I think he has to focus around playing a bit more of a distance game. He's got the piercing sight, a whole lot of information to be gained from that, so if he utilizes the rail and prioritizes that weapon in combination with his ability, he could really make things difficult for dahang.
So it looks like we're loading in now, so it won't be too much longer until this map is underway. Just want to remind everyone, I mean, this is day 1, Quake World Championships. It's been, all things considered, it feels like a fast day, Flea. hopefully. I feel like we've kind of only just started things and we've got through so many of these matches already. Always a pleasure to see dahang in action again. It has been a pretty dominant map 1 for dahang versus maxter, and I do think it's fair to assume that a 2-0 is likely here. But as far as maxter's concerned, I mean, like I've said, he's done the difficult thing for his own personal goals. He's in Pro League now, so that is the start of his journey. We've seen that with a lot of players, and now this is his turn. So I don't think you can feel too bad if he falls to dahang here, but I would love to see him take this map. What a start it would be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. First entry into the Quake Pro League and immediately taking out the second best player in your region, that would be one hell of an impressive statement. But maxter, of course, easy to talk, a lot less simple to actually put it into action. dahang has got the railgun. Maxter right now doesn't have all the weapons available to him, and dahang is well aware of this. Good aggressive push. Out comes the orb. This is risky from dahang. Maxter definitely has a stack advantage. Will secure the mega hub, but dahang still dangerously low. That heavy won't stop much in terms of rockets hitting the face. But he does manage to get away for now. Good read there too with the active plasma.
Yeah, definitely. And that second rail was a good shot too. But dahang, plenty of areas around here near LG to restack. You can kind of get stuck in no man's land. I think some of the stack can be the forbidden fruit if you know that someone's nearby. But as we cycle around the map, I mean, the two items, they start to appear once again. Heavy goes to dahang, mega for maxter. And you will see this somewhat slower game first, and neither player wants to put too much of a foot into things. But there's not much delay. They had somewhat of a trade-off. And that is always going to be an interesting choice for dahang, because he's comfortable and happy when he has both. If he's able to keep a delay, keep a perfect timing on the two items, if you're always taking one of them, you've always got a fighting chance. It's only when he runs the full circuit that he takes those chances away, and ouch. Wait a minute, here we go. Big fight, and he hits the rail. That might be the green light. We'll see what kind of damage maxter can get in return. The self-damage of the rocket jump is always going to be the lesser of two evils when dahang has a rail angle on you. Oh, misses the shot. Wait a minute. dahang might go down here. Maxter, no, he's being safe. He is not going to look for an angle. He is going to try and play the survival game. dahang.
That was like a seesaw experience right there, Ryan. Just maxter starting off strong, then dahang immediately getting the upper hand, and then right when you think it's gonna go wrong, maxter just turns it all back around. Oh, the LG lift almost pinning him. dahang, 16 points of health, will live to fight another day. Maxter, can he finish things off? We'll switch to the LG. Clever decision to finish it with the shotgun. And the player from Argentina finally putting himself on the board first 1-0.
And the piercing sight was used for good measure. You know, you're going to go near rail room. There are so many pillars and weird ways that a player can try and dodge your shots. If you need that shot, it's nah. I'm going to see where you're going. I need to finish this now. Nice rail. Maxter has an opportunity. That's some really tasty LG. I mean, he's able to get a little bit of a mix-up game on whether he teleports to the orb or not. And that is going to save his skin, actually. dahang, good use of the orb for the distraction. Such an underrated tool of that orb. I think dahang, he'll know that was a piercing sight shot. I'm assuming he heard it, but just in case he didn't. That was a very obvious one, around the corner.
I'm a big fan of maxter's mouse movements. It's not particularly smooth, but I love how snappy it is. It is very erratic, and he's one of those players who's constantly checking angles. Rather than just counting on his opponent not being there, whenever he's jumping by an open doorway or something, you can count on him just flicking back and forth just to take a quick peek whether or not someone is there. Very proactive, very exhausting playstyle as well. It takes a lot of endurance to keep doing that for several maps in a row, but these flicks, nice rails coming on through. dahang should be able to secure the heavy. Maxter cannot stick around this time. Still railable. Has to find himself some resources first. Cannot engage with dahang just yet.
dahang is always happy to play from behind if he's, you know, only 1 or 2 frags down. If he knows he has plenty of time to catch up, all he needs to do is lock in that sequence once. And that can often be the end of the map. It is the dahang and Rapper effect. 420 just surpassed. We're going in for a little bit more of this. Oh, the rocket from maxter is surgical. I do wonder if dahang can somewhat refrag this. There's not a lot of health around.
I clinched when he went for that health bubble first. I don't think he had exact timing, but I just really held my breath when he ran all the way out there to pick up the health bubble first. Of course, he didn't have the piercing sight, so he couldn't just exactly tell where dahang was at, but still, that is unfortunate for him to lose the frag right there after getting a kill just before heavy spawns, but he was just so low after that previous fight, and now dahang doesn't want to let him escape. Still, very close fight right there. dahang barely 10 points of health to his name coming out of that one. And maxter, out comes the aggressive push with the nail gun. Lands a few bullets, but not enough to really make dahang second guess his position or give up the mega.
Now from this position, dahang has only just more stacks, so it's pretty even all things considered. You can see maxter, he's used his piercing sight. I don't think dahang heard that though, so he's not going to have complete understanding, but he does know that maxter can see him. And a little bit of damage, barely any of it. The important thing with dahang is that he's back on mega. Oh, that was a cute little jump. Now he's pushing in big time. The one thing he can't do is allow maxter to take any of these important items, so he is going to jump back and take this mega all the same. He's got the perfect timing. Extra bonus is that there now is a chunky delay between heavy and mega at the same time. So if dahang gets this frag, which is likely at this rate, he should be able to back up and take the heavy. And on the middle of his path, he always takes away those lighter items. He just removes that light armor. So now maxter, if he's weak, I mean, he's in a bad shape. dahang, not in amazing shape either, all things considered, but at least he's got some armor.
I was about to point out the exact same thing. dahang could have just taken the safe route and gotten onto heavy instantly, but he went for the small armor first. As he finally secures himself that one frag lead. Took a while to put the plan into effect, but now 3 minutes left. maxter still has got a lot of time to work with, but he needs to break dahang's cycle of control, and that is going to be extremely difficult to do. maxter, at this point, still doesn't have his hands on a railgun, crucial weapon, something he's been using to great effect, a lot of damage with just that one tool of destruction alone, and he should be able to get a hold of it right now.
Nice little flick rocket. Oh, the two-piece. Denied. And you know what I said earlier where dahang, he's so happy to play the calm game because as long as he gets that lead eventually, it's very hard to take it away from him. Once dahang establishes a lead, it's mostly because he has some kind of momentum. It's because he has, you know, timing on these items. Look at this, he's on the mega again.
That's that famed orb mobility coming on through. Throwing the orb through that little hole before he even picks up heavy. And then the moment he takes one item, he just teleports straight onto the other one, allowing him to bridge the gap in less than a second. And that just stops any opportunity that maxter might have had of stealing away one of these major items. And he needs to. He needs to get a hold of something. That's a whole lot of damage with the switch. maxter! Not quite sure what happened there, but he just fumbled the weapon switch. Did he not have LG ammo anymore or something? Oh, that hurts, Ketchup, that hurts.
That hurts a lot as well, as maxter is licking his wounds at this point. And he's not going to be able to challenge the mega either. dahang, maxter might run the risk of being right where he wants him at this stage because there's still 2 more frags for maxter to equalize, and he gets hit by a rail, make that 3.
Yeah, the rail angle, dahang was waiting for it, knew exactly where maxter was at, knew that he was low too. And now maxter, what can he do? He has a little over a minute left. He has to go all out. Absolutely cannot hold back or waste any more time. Going for the major items right now isn't gonna cut it anymore. I think he's still lacking some of the weaponry that he would like. I don't think he has got a railgun just yet. That can slow down any comeback.
And as we have a 1-minute warning, surpassed 3 more frags in less than a minute maxter needs versus a dahang that has Dire Orb, Mega Health, and Heavy. This is looking like a pretty impossible task. dahang has to miss a fair few shots here, and maxter needs to hit some miracle ones. It's going to become a lot harder now that Mega has been taken for another time. And at this point, he can just play the game of retreat, the game of defense. I'm willing to bet this is a done deal, Flea.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree. This isn't going to go anywhere for maxter anymore. dahang, pretty inventive with those little nail gun jumps. We see quite a few players use them. The Maestro boys like them a lot as well. Wenger and Razy, two of the players who play around with that weapon a bit here and there too. dahang clearly knows his way around some defrag of his own. And it is going to help him secure this victory. 2-0. Maxter fought bravely, valiantly, but in the end, lacking the experience to really pressure dahang at any point.
And, I mean, in all honesty, I do think that was the expected result. You know, no disrespect towards maxter. I just think that dahang, he is the number 2 in Americas right now for a reason. And at a finals, you can always expect dahang to turn up, and he will bring his A game. He is heavily experienced, heavily seasoned, and he just plays a damn good game of Quake. His control is off the charts, and it's notoriously hard to take him down from that pedestal. Now, we have a lot to talk about, but while we prepare things, we're going to go for another break. Don't go anywhere, because the Quake World Championships, day number 1. Be right back.